Yep, I'm gonna record. This is the last day that I have to record it. So yeah, like I said, the background is to celebrate Hanukkah, which starts this week, and also celebrates our student who celebrates Hanukkah, which is George. So thank you for sharing that information with us, George.
George.
All right. So I don't think I'm sharing my screen, which is totally fine. So now that you're in the Nearpod, we reviewed how to use Actively Learn, which is
Notes. Do we need our notebook?
Already finished homework. Yep, we're gonna need notes, your notebook.
Okay, then I brought it this time.
I'm gonna go get my notebook.
Okay, go get your notebook. Thanks, George. And then we're gonna practice citing evidence in the Nearpod. So I'm gonna go ahead and open. Turn on my camera, my document camera, and you don't have to. Put a new date. We're gonna actually go back to the notes that we started on November 30th. So you'll see when I plug this in that I want you to go back to the date November 30th. So open up the day that you took those notes.
Oh, okay.
And we're just gonna add to them.
Okay.
We're gonna add to them. So you should have your notebook, something to write with.
Was it a Monday or Friday or Thursday?
November 30th, good question, was a Monday.
Oh, then I don't have it.
Oh, that's right. So then you need to kind of get busy and copy some notes here. Just so that you can see that it's a little bit different notes that we're taking, I'm going to change the color of pen that I'm using today. So I'm going to also add December.
Can I go to the next clean page?
You can go to the next clean page too. And it's going to be December 7th.
December.
Mm-hmm. So Kamari, could you go ahead and read the notes that we took down here, starting at using? What is citing evidence? And it is Could you go ahead and read that for us, Kamari, please? You there? No.
Cite evidence. Use your text to give a best explanation of your answer.
Okay. So, great. So now we're going to be drawing a little bit of something. So when we are citing evidence, we are looking at the text. And the text is anything that's written down here in our book.
A book?
So it doesn't have to be a book. It could be a worksheet.
It's like eyeballs looking at a book.
Yep. So for those of you who sometimes when I ask for an answer, sometimes you all will make a guess about something that's not even written down.
Really?
Yeah. So this is why I want you to, we're kind of going over this idea that it's written in the text. For some of us, it's so obviously we're not looking at the book, but sometimes it's on our computer screen, right? Maybe it's on our laptop. But that's where you should be looking for the answers. Okay. You should be looking for the answers either in the text in front of you or on the screen, right? So when I ask you for evidence, I'm asking for you to look in the text, on the screen. Either one of those would be lovely.
Your art is getting better.
Thank you, Miguel. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Citing evidence will always have will usually, so here's the new notes. Hi, ant. Why are you here?
There's an ant?
Yeah, I just killed him.
Oh, he's dead.
He's dead. I don't like ants.
Why?
Because
What did they do to you?
they bite sometimes.
They don't bite. Those are the red ants.
Citing evidence usually has two parts.
Those are called fire ants.
I know.
Ooh, fire ants are in
I
Texas.
know.
And they are gnarly. Okay.
I seen that in Mexico. Bit
Oh,
me.
trust me, I see them too.
They bit me.
A lot of them.
When you are citing evidence, there's usually two parts.
Uh-huh.
Well, the first part is where you are making an inference. Right? And that's definitely where we are using our brains. This is, remember last spring when we were looking at all those pictures and then we were trying to guess what was happening in the pictures? So that's where we are using our brains.
It doesn't look like a brain. It looks like a...
To think about questions. And that's where when you're making an inference, that's where you're actually thinking about it, and you might say something that might not be in the text. Right?
Oh.
You're making an inference.
Inference?
Inference. Yep. Jacob is really good at making inferences. When you draw a conclusion, which is also kind of like making an inference.
Oh.
Draw a conclusion, make an inference, or if you guess the vocabulary definition.
Oh.
So right now we're really focused on these two right here.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, can you go ahead and mute so that in case people haven't pinned it, that it's not switching over to your. Thank you. Could you show me on fingers how much more time you need? 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Oh, 0 minutes, Miguel? Okay. Max 0. Oh, okay, max is 0. Jacob, how many minutes? 5? Okay. Compromise. I'll give you 2 minutes. If you want to add to your drawing, you can add to your drawing. And Miguel, that also, hopefully you got this also up here too.
Yeah, I do have all of it.
Okay, good.
I wrote the whole thing in that page.
All right.
I already did it.
Perfect. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. I will post those notes, but I'm gonna turn the camera off and turn it back on me. And we're gonna move through the next part of the Nearpod. I love it when we run on time. Okay. So our learning target today, we're going to continue practicing to cite evidence. So, oh, we already took our notes. All right. So I've got a little piece of text here. Now, remember, we were talking about this person, John, who was getting on a plane yesterday. So we're going to continue reading about John a little bit, and then we're going to answer some questions.
Yes.
So, Jacob, could you go ahead and read the first little paragraph?
John took a deep breath as he stood in line to get on the plane. He
Keep
looked
going.
out the airport windows. The plane was painted blue and tan.
Nice. Thank you very much. Do you want to keep going?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it. Keep.
You muted.
Oop. Once.
Got
Oh, you're getting a little glitchy, Jacob.
You're laggy.
he pulled. Huh?
You're laggy.
Okay. Once, just let's give him 3 seconds to get himself together here, and then I'm gonna give you a 3-second countdown, and then just start again. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Seated, he pulled out a bag from his backpack. that his mom put had mom that his mom had packed it had it had a sandwich, chips, and an apple. John tucked the bag away. He wasn't hungry. He felt too nervous to be hungry.
Great. All right. So we're finding out a little bit more about John in this little blurb. It's not a long story. It's a very, very short story. So Jacob, thank you very much for reading it. So my question to you is, how old is John? How old is John? Now let's go back and look at the text. Do we remember if there was actually his age mentioned? I
don't remember.
Don't remember. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. There's a draw it, and I want you to, as I read it out loud to you, listen and follow along and see if there's some clues in there. I want you to underline or circle a clue that tells us how old John might be. So I'm going to start at the top. John took a deep breath as he stood in line to get on the plane. He looked out the airport windows. The plane was painted blue and tan. In the second paragraph. Once he got seated, he pulled out a bag from his backpack that his mom had packed. It had a sandwich, chips, and an apple. John tucked the bag away. He wasn't hungry. He felt too nervous to be hungry. So see if you can, I want you to just highlight or circle anything that you think gave you a clue. Now, I don't want you to say it out loud. I just want you to do it on the draw. Nobody say it out loud, please. I just want you to do it on the draw. So I thank you. Sincere, I see you're working on it. Mac, Miguel, thank you. Adrian, Jacob, George, Gabby, Kamari, please get on the draw. Thank you, Miguel, for submitting it. Sincere is working on it. So what are some clues? What are some clues that tell us how old John might be?
The backpack and for the mom.
Okay. Mac, you were listening closely. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch to go ahead and submit whatever you got, and then you're going to quietly work on the quiz. There's a little quiz. So I'm going to ask you I'll read it out loud. Don't answer out loud. Your answer should be on the Nearpod, okay? So here we go. I'm going to the next slide. So the question is, how old is John? And your responses are A, a young child, B, a teenager, C, an old man. Please do not say it out loud. Please just answer on the Nearpod. Is John A, a young child, B, a teenager, C, an old man? Thank you, Kamari, Adrian, Miguel, George, Jacob, and Sincere have all answered. Just waiting for Gabby and Mac. A, a young boy, B, a teenager, C, an old man. All right, we're going to move on. So before we discuss it, again, this idea, what are the clues that led you to the answer? Essentially, what is the evidence that justifies your answer? Again, I'm going to give you a moment to draw it. Like look at the draw it. See if there's something else that sticks out to you as I read it. First paragraph. John took a deep breath as he stood in line to get on the plane. He looked out the airport windows. The plane was painted blue and tan. Once he got seated, he pulled out a bag from his backpack that his mom had packed. It had a sandwich, chips, and an apple. John tucked the bag away. He wasn't hungry. He felt too nervous to be hungry. So, thank you, Miguel, for submitting it. Mac, I see you're working on it. Remember, these little dots are your participation points. Just saying.
You're saying? Okay.
Jacob, thanks for working on it. George, thanks for working on it. Sincere, I know you're working on it.
I already did it.
No, I already did it.
I
Okay,
already
great.
did it.
All right, so I'm gonna move to the quiz section in about 7 seconds.
1, 2.
I count silently so it's not too disruptive. Okay. Okay, so hit submit if you haven't hit submit, and then we're moving on. All right, so your question is this. What sentence from the text supports your answer? Please listen to the choices. A, John took a deep breath. B, the plane was painted blue and tan. C, he pulled a bag from his backpack that his mom had packed. Which do you think is the correct answer? What helped you figure out how old John was? A, John took a deep breath. B, the plane was painted blue and tan. C, he pulled out a bag from his backpack that his mom had packed. Let's see that. I'm just waiting for Kamari and George to answer. Thank you, Sincere, Jacob, Gabby, Adrian for answering, Miguel and Mac. All right, I'll give you, everybody answer. Okay, so we're moving on. So I'll go ahead and share the answers. So the correct answer was, at least the best clue for me is, I'm gonna go ahead and switch to
Was I wrong?
the document camera.
I was correct.
So first of all, let's go back to the first question. How old do we think John is? Go ahead and raise your hand if you remember what your answer was. Go ahead and answer. I heard a hand. Oh, Miguel, how old?
How what?
Oh, I see Max. I see Max's little hand raised. Mac, how old is John? Do we think?
A teenager?
Yeah, I think that he's a teenager too. Again, it doesn't say so in the text, and this is where we have to kind of use our. So, question number one is, I think he's a teenager.
How is it? Wait, mama.
And Mac, you had already said that the evidence was he pulled out a bag from his backpack that his mom had packed. So that tells me that he's probably a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have to take this one step further. If he was a really young child, do you think he'd be on a plane by himself and standing? I mean,
Yeah.
is it more likely that he's a teenager or that he's a really young child?
A teenager.
Yeah, probably a teenager. Again, it could have been, I guess I could have been a little bit more specific in the choosing of the age, but yeah. If you put a young child, I guess I could support that. If you put a young child, or a teenager. I think both of those would work. I think teenager is probably better.
A young kid can still go.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that statement. I can't say that it would be totally wrong. I think because of the evidence says that it's definitely not an older person, but the fact that his mom packed a sandwich for him, probably a young child or a teenager. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna turn a couple of things off here. I'm gonna stop the recording.